Okay, so I forgot to turn off Arrow before I started today, and that's why the menus look all janky now. It's just the nature, I guess, of the way Photoshop is going to be recording. The menus are missing here and here and here and here. I'm well aware that they don't show up on the record, and I think that has to do with not having Arrow turned on, and just the way things are recorded on the OBS capture. Yeah, that's annoying, but that's not really the important part of me doing this, is what the menus look like. So that's what that also break was there. I had to stop and start the record, just to make sure everything was working fine after switching out Arrow. So today we're going to be working on the background a bit, and I have no idea what the background is or should be. So it's going to be a lot of like laying down shapes and playing with it. But because everything is masked off, I can pretty much just do whatever I want to figure out what I want out of the background. Now, because if we're looking at the way he's set up, like he's very, let's get the arrow for this. He's got like this line, like he's got a shape that's sort of going mostly at an angle, sort of like 45 or so degrees from the horizontal. So I'm thinking I could either do something that has the lines going this way to sort of reinforce this, or I could do something that has the lines going this way to work counter to what his shape is. So I don't really know which way I want to go with that. Or I could do something that is not horizontally based, and I could go like into some sort of crazy perspective of something. Like maybe we have some sort of, like, there's a bridge overhang, but he's not really in that type of perspective. He's very flat on, like a character on a card or something. So I think if I were doing a background, I wouldn't want it to be, just like, this is my bridge and this is like a building or something like that, and it's just very static. That would just be kind of boring. So and he has, like, everything's very busy over here, so I'd want something, a notable thing that's in this corner, and then this could be, just gibberish. Because I mentioned he's a biopunk character, so that really makes me think of like tubes and pods and things like goo pods, like Matrixy style goo pods. But at the same time, I don't really know if I want to do Matrixy style goo pods for him. Because the character is also in an urban landscape, so I mean, he could be outside somewhere, and we could throw down some building-ish shapes. Like I said, we don't want to make it like very static in the background, because while he is the focus, the character is the focus, we don't necessarily want to have it be something intrinsically boring behind him. And I am aware that that's really dark, but I'll go back and, oh wait, yeah, that's correct. I was like, wait, my light source. No, but I'm aware that's really dark, and it should really not be super dark. I'll go back in. Now, this is going to be especially true of these back layers. A lot of what I'm going to do is going to be very unresolved. It's gonna definitely not have a lot of detail. And that's going to be by design. We're not going to throw a lot of detail into these backgrounds because of I'm sort of going to hit it with a processing type of thing that's really going to push it back and make it the background. Now, in keeping with something I mentioned in an earlier episode, about like a shopping market, a supermarket, where you don't necessarily want to draw all the shelves, but you still want to have, some detail like that. I'm thinking, like, if he's on a street right now and he's just like whipping his gear out to fight something, maybe. I'm kind of thinking about, like, putting a food stall or two behind him, because you can really, like, maybe a tent of some kind. You can really hide details. Details about that behind his tentacles. That sounds just very... That actually sounds kind of wrong to say out loud. But, now I'm not not exactly blown away by my own work here. So I think, and this is going to happen a lot with this, and I may end up going quiet for a little bit on this. Yeah, we're gonna try something else. This is gonna happen a lot too. It's always fine to make mistakes, and because of the magic of Photoshop is that you can just completely screw up everything. But if you plot your layering out properly, you can just go absolutely crazy with an idea and have it be a bad idea, and it's no problem. You can just erase and start over. So wait, that's exactly how I started last time. So let's do the do like a I don't want to have it be looking down at something. I really do want to have it be a background that sort of goes away from him. Now this would be a good time for me to mention the concept of a tangent, because I almost just did one. And a tangent is when you have, and this is going to be something that may happen over here a lot. Yeah, I don't like that. The concept of a tangent is if you have something where you have, like, say, where you have two lines that just meet up against each other, it tends to draw the eye right towards that. And when I said I almost did one, I almost put one right across his shoulders. And it's like, I don't necessarily want to have a tangent, or even, like, since I have this pointing here, I don't want to have a continuation of that line over there. So generally speaking, you want to avoid things like that. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to figure out if that's definitely something I don't like. This happens when you don't plot out your drawing ahead of time to have a background. Now we could just do this. It's like it's not a problem to just do like just throw in the throw in the anonymous lines of action to sort of just have a background. And for these, you definitely want to do a flip for these, because you don't want to have the character like falling into a void. But the the anonymous and unspecified, shape of background line things that are sort of actiony background things. I mean, they don't have to be anything. They can be abstract, and it's like, oh, boom, it's done. Your artwork's done just by putting a few lines in the background. I mean, that's sort of a legitimate way to do this. And then you would probably want to put like take your 50% gray and put it on the background, and then oops, and then put it on the background and drop your opacity down just to give yourself some push between, you know, the background and your character. And then you would go in and you would go in and you tweak the levels on this so that the character punches off the page a bit more, and the background gets pushed back a bit. So you can do miscellaneous lines of abstraction for a background for a character. I was kind of hoping to have just a little something more behind him for this. I just have no idea what it's gonna be. And I think it'd be a little easier if he were bigger or smaller on the page, because then I could play with it a bit more. Because we're kind of just gonna throw down some details, and then we're actually gonna blur it out, and that'll sort of pull him forward and push the background back. And I'm gonna do a little bit of that on some details on him. Like I might actually blur his arm over here a bit, and then definitely I'm gonna put a blur over that tentacle. Maybe put a little bit over here to sort of give a camera focus on our character, a pseudo fake camera focus on the character. Little jump ahead there. I think I'm gonna be doing, because I've been mentioning like the Simic and the Biopunk theme this entire time. So yeah, I'm leaning very much towards doing some sort of city type thing, and having the background be kind of city-ish. But then I was like, okay, what else would work with this Biopunk theme? And I was like, oh, goo tubes, like I mentioned before. But I was like, you don't need goo tubes to be Biopunk, to have that same like biomechanical imagery going on. And I was like, airships, living airships. Let's throw in a living airship in the background. So something that has a lot of like it kind of has a theme like his armor does, where it kind of has a lot of those repeating shapes, and then like, you know, something a little like goopy and pustule on it, and then you have all of these like shell shapes, and then you get your airship that is very 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 much in the style, sort of like that. It's like, oh, it's an airship that has hydrogen, but the bladders that hold it are like bladders. It's not like an unconvincing like Hindenburg. It's canvas that's holding the hydrogen in, or vacuum in. It could be vacuum to get the ship aloft. It could easily just be the ship has biological components that have the air bladders. Now for trees, I'm gonna try to draw the trees from memory, but there's an island in I believe it's the Indian Ocean off of India. Well, I think all of India is in the Indian Ocean now that I think about it. But yeah, off of India, I think it's similar to Madagascar in that there's a lot of unique flora and fauna on it. Specifically these trees that look absolutely alien. And I'm gonna totally steal them and use them for, say, this tree that's right in the background here. And hopefully this tree is going to be readable as a tree and not really get confused with his arm, or say the tentacle that his arm is. Now, yeah, when I go in and put detail on this, it's not going to be black back there. I'm actually going to probably just take some levels or curves and just suck all the dark out of that, and suck whatever the highlights are I put back here. But for now, we're actually going to keep it like this. and we're gonna go in and we're just gonna tap some highlights in here so these branches have just a bit more shape. And like I mentioned, we're really gonna go in and make sure this is pushed back later. Now this plane down here is what he is standing on, basically. So this fencing back here would be like 2 or 3 times his size. And I think I'm actually going to do multiple layers for my background here. So we're going to go in and very carefully take this building out. Because I want to have, and we're just going to go in and we're going to pull all that fence out because I want it to be distinctly part of the, like, I want it to be a distinct fence line, so I don't have to like go in and put every individual fence post in there. I want to actually, or I mean, I'm gonna put every fence post in. I don't want to have to go in and put the in-betweens for that in there. So now, for this, I'm not going to be super accurate with it, because this is after all the background, and like I said, it's gonna get pushed back quite a bit. I just want to make sure that the shapes we're getting in the background don't really supersede his shapes or his art. Because like I said, even if the background is sort of important for a character illustration, it shouldn't override the character's illustration. I'm gonna do some reflected light on that tree, and like I said, I don't necessarily need this super detailed. So yeah, this would be quote unquote grass growing on whatever this building's rooftop is, even though it's squiggles, because we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna push this way in the back. We're totally just gonna take all of this and give it a nice blur, and it's gonna, hopefully, if all goes according to plan. Oops, I did that, didn't I? If all goes according to plan, we should have this just sink right into the background, nice and quick and easy like. You know what, I think for this particular part we are gonna go and go in with our mid-grays and just push this back immediately. Just so it stays more neutral than what we had in the foreground. We don't want it to get, you know, too neutral though. This is gonna be one of those times when there's gonna be a lot of back and forth, especially with this part of a background. And this tree doesn't really need to look quite like a tree. It can be very blobby. So I am going to ask, how am I doing so far? Because this is probably going to be episode 4, I think, if my count is correct. And I really like to know how I'm doing so far. I know I still have my janky Photoshop here. Well, janky on the record Photoshop. But I know we're still into basically drawing 1. But I'd like to know how I'm doing. I also don't know how many people are actually going to be watching at this point, but I really would like to know how I'm doing, and what you guys would like to see next, because this is going to be done this session. It's gonna I'd probably consider this a 5-hour drawing. If even that, I'd probably have to look at all my record time. Keep saying I'd have to look at all my record times, but I'd say it's about 5 hours to get this all together. So it's not like it's spend a lot of time on this drawing. It's not like I'm gonna sit here and noodle this for weeks. We want to get. I generally try to get things done very quickly, and very readably. Accuracy's, you know, accuracy, but I generally prefer doing things faster rather than like more accurate. If that makes sense to anyone. In fact, I think, as a piece of advice, Miyazaki actually said, not to compare myself to Miyazaki, but he actually said, you know, work on speed first. Everything else will come later. And actually, I've tried to do that. Even before I heard that quote. I've always tried to work on drawing things quickly because you'll always be improving. So getting things done like quickly, that's something you have to practice a lot of. And it's like, yeah, accuracy does count, but I mean, that's sort of, to me, it sounds like saying penmanship counts. And I'm left-handed, so penmanship has always been sort of a something I've never worked on, really, because it just turns into a big old smear. So this building would be on his platform that he is on. Now, he's blocking where that meets up, but so long as I keep it in the tones I've kept all of this in, it should by my extreme calculations, work like I'm thinking it should. Oh, first thing I want to do though is I do want to grab. Can I reselect that? I cannot. I do want to lasso this off again. Then we invert that lasso and we flip to our erase tool, and we're gonna erase everything that's right behind here, just in case there is something. I accidentally put gray there. We deselect that. Whoops. Now we're gonna select the layer and oh, come on, Photoshop. It's your own damn fault you opened. Sometimes you'll accidentally double click with a Wacom. I do it all the time. And this is the result when the layer styles menu opens sometimes. And you've got a big old Photoshop file going. Okay. Now we've gone on that little journey. We're going to lock transparent pixels because when we paint on this now, we will on this quote unquote building piece. Whoops. The building piece will actually now be like the edge of it is considered transparent on this layer. So we end up with the ability to basically put down a line and it won't cross over into what we would call our sky area. And I think I'm gonna have to keep it a little darker just because well, let's grab I don't want it to be too bright for obvious reasons. And I think like this face of it, God, this is so hard. Welcome to Difficulty Island. Yeah, this is where I start to use like my Photoshop tools to a great degree, is when I start getting into things that really require having their edges be really hard. I don't care about it so much in a figure because people are generally organic in nature, and being organic in nature, they have a lot of a lot of rounded pieces, and rounded pieces are really good for they're really something you can get away with. I'm just really stumbling over my words. I'm guessing the number one thing people would want me to do is talk better, but yeah, the thing about the human body is it's very, very round, which means you don't necessarily need to like be a tight lassoer with what the human body is. You may be asking why I'm doing this. That was a double click. Now I'm double clicking. Oh, god damn it. I want to get... Now we're going to do this little triangle here. I don't want it on the mask. There's something I have never, ever stopped doing. That's something I've always done, is just using the like hitting the mask tool, or starting a painting, and like, why am I not painting? Oh right, I'm on the layer mask. Whoops. Because if you remember, I established on his drawing, on his artwork, that this side of the building is actually going to be pretty light on this side, in this area, because I have a light source on this side. Here's something you're told never to do. Use the airbrush function. So we can come back down here, and now the problem with this building over here is I don't really know like what would be on it. And actually, now that I've done all that work, I think I might take it out, because this is where the like back and forth is gonna happen a lot. Because I don't actually know what I want to do on this building face. Should it be windowed? Columnar? Because this is where it gets difficult when you're trying to decide what to do with a background when you didn't design the background out to begin with. So you know what, I'm probably gonna put another break where I'm gonna jump ahead here, because I really need to figure out something to do on this side that'll actually make me happy with what I'm doing right now. Okay, so probably gonna be another big jump to the next chunk of this. And here we are. So I've decided to take another one of the quote-unquote weird trees and put it on this side, sort of behind and above him. We're gonna be taking... That is not the layer 1, is it? That's the layer we want. So we're gonna be taking and doing... still not gonna be as detailed as you would do for, like, say, a study of one of these trees, but we are gonna take and put in some detail here. And the island is Socotra. S-O-C-O-T-R-A. That these trees are not entirely based on. No, they're only loosely based on. So, I was asking if anyone out there had requests for me to draw stuff. Or if there's, you know, things I could do to improve what I'm doing. I mean, aside from the obvious, like, talk clearer, talk better. I mean, I'm as I stutter over my damn words, I think I'm doing okay. I really am still learning how to... I'm never going to stop learning this. Learning how to do YouTube stuff. Learning what works, what doesn't. And likewise, learning how to draw and Photoshop paint things. It's always a learning process that's never going to stop. I don't think I'd ever consider myself claiming mastery over art in any way. I mean, except for maybe drawing hot elf chicks, but I mean, I can't put that on a resume for most places. I do claim mastery of saying the word a lot. So yeah, I'd love to hear some requests, or if there's anything anyone would really want to see themselves, or if there are any tutorials, like how to do certain things. I could definitely do those if anyone's interested. This one we're gonna actually keep pretty dark. It's just we're still not gonna put the detail, like super detail in, because I do want it in the background from our character. But in keeping with the fact that there's technically a light, I put a light source on this side. I am going to keep the trunk a little on the bright side. Basically, I want to neutral this out, and I think I may have to, unfortunately... Should I name this airship? I mean, I want to call him Shippy, but that's not a word I want to use on the internet too often. Wait, no, select that goddamn layer. I'm still gonna include this airship in here. It's just he's gonna be separated on his own layer. And I can, you can move him around once you got him separated. I don't know where I'm gonna put him. I may have to shrink him down to keep him in the background, because I want to expand this tree just a little bit out in this direction. Because it was looking a little scrunched in there. But yeah, requests could pretty much be anything that isn't porn. And who knows, maybe if I get my Patreon going, I may totally sell out, and that would not be a rule anymore. But yeah, I could do characters, I could do themes, I could do like a tutorial on something if anyone wants to know how to draw or create a certain thing in Photoshop. Yeah, I actually kind of want his hang. Do I want to do it like maybe that? Just have it behind the tree just a little bit. If I were, if I were smart, I would have actually started this as a group and just put the mask on the damn group. That way I can just go through and totally not be as sloppy as I was with that masking. So by putting the mask on the group, we can pretty much take and move all of the stuff in here wherever we want, and it won't intersect with him at all. It's the advantage of having, a good mask. I'll say good. My masking abilities are brilliant. Oh, after some of the stuff I've had to pen tool. You know what? I hazard to claim mastery over pen tool, in all honesty. I mean, that's art. That's an art form unto itself, and I have done enough pen tooling over enough objects that I don't resent pen tooling, but I could definitely do it in a state of sleep. And I probably have done it in a state of sleep, now that I think about it. Now the trees, I have a picture of it open. The trees actually have a very smooth trunk, so they don't have a lot of bark on them. So we aren't going to actually go in and do a lot of bark work. And that's fine, because I didn't want there to be a lot of detail anyway. I am, however, going to put one sort of harsher highlight maybe up here. Only because, like, that's the sort of tip of this, you know, big curve. Let's just make this tool bigger. The big curve that this tree would have. Now we can get into the meat and potatoes of this background. So, well, actually, we've been in the meat and potatoes of this background this entire time. So now that I have this sort of, he's on a plane, he's got these trees, I think I'm going to do just some generic building-y shapes in this far background. And for generic building-y shapes, I tend to just, let's get it darker. I tend to just put in, you know, the straight flat lines a building would have. And because buildings, and this is something a teacher told me, so it kind of stuck. Buildings in a city, an urban landscape, tend to be very different in size from building to building. Like, they're all over the place in terms of their size, placement, perspective, what have you. So you can, with buildings, a trick to making them look like a cityscape look more city-like is to actually have the buildings be various in size. And I'm not the best at drawing buildings, in all honesty. However much I like urban landscapes, I've never actually been that great at drawing buildings. So I'll probably just lazily slap these in here and then move on to my next step, which is just, you know, doodling out that airship. And actually, that airship, I might do a whole picture just about it. I don't like that one. Yeah, the thing about, like, background buildings is they don't need to be, I just did the same shape, didn't I? They don't need to be that super detailed either. Like, over here, we're just going to put in, like, that's the dark side of one. And then this will be the light side of it. And it's like, that's pretty much all you really need to do. And I mean, you could go in and sort of like do some loose line work to sort of denote windows or whatever on the background, on the building. But like I said, I'm not the best at drawing buildings, and it's something I really do want to practice doing at some point, just sit down and draw buildings. Who knows, I might make that an episode. Rather than a how-to, just do buildings. And same rules go for these buildings that are going to go for these trees. They're going to get really, really just pushed way in the background. So I'm not too concerned about accuracy. Right now it's more about just getting the idea that there are buildings down. Because like far off buildings, all you really need to do is take and do like that. You'll see it in the back. Like if you watch anything that's animated at all, really far away buildings are just on their own flat plane. So you really only need to do that for the really, really far away things. Like this building's obviously closer up, but I do want one more snuck in there. And actually you can actually take buildings, like buildings also don't have to be square in shape. So if we want, we can have, you know, a shape like that. And I definitely want that under the tentacle but above the tree. Shape like that, and then we can actually sneak in like a bridge or two, and then, you know, spires. So let's do, because we have all these tentacle shapes in here, I think I'm gonna grab this and we're gonna put in a dome of some kind. Domes are futuristic-y. I just painted over that building, didn't I? Technically, this should all be on its own new layer, but we can get by with not doing that. In the dome, we can put a little highlight on it, make it dome-like. Gonna be doing that back and forth we do when we do that. And then domes, you can sometimes put like the hatch marks on it, but I don't think we really need to. Well, we'll do a little bit. Well, no, I don't really like that. Now I do just want to put like, I want to put just the side maybe of a building right here. Like there's a building there, and well, that's basically the same type of building. Damn it. I do want something under his arm that is very, like, distinctly, obviously a building. And you can even like take it further by just like, that'll probably get lost, that detail way in the back, but it does add just the teeniest bit of depth. So anyways, in animation, like if you watch Futurama is a great example of this. If you actually look at the backgrounds of Futurama and the cities, it's deceptively simple what they're doing. We're putting in like a I thought of Futurama and I was like, okay, let's do like the the ray gun dildo building. That works. Now I am actually gonna just nick the antenna off because it's a little distracting. But anyways, yeah, the building setups in Futurama are deceptively simple. Excuse me. If you really look at the backgrounds when they do their the establishing shots, you can definitely tell that there are very few buildings in that show actually in the backgrounds. And then it's like they maybe have 1 or 2 or 3 buildings that are close up. Like usually it's 4. Usually they have the Planet Express building, and then like the buildings that are across the street, in front of it, to the side of it, and I don't think there's a building behind it. I think it's like an empty lot. And they usually have those couple of buildings, and then like everything across the river is basically that. It's far pushed back. It's stuff that's really pushed back, and it's really flat. But also there's like I think it's the Christmas episode, the ship flies in from the left of the building, and it actually flies through the city that's on that side. And it's like, you look at it and it's like, well, that was a really cool shot. And then you go back and look at it, and it's like there actually aren't that. There are buildings. I'm not saying there aren't any buildings and there's not a lot of detail, but it's actually kind of surprising how little detail there actually is back there, because they just fly over like a couple. I mean, it's a gorgeous shot, but they don't fly over like an entire cityscape laid out. It's like the buildings nearby, and that's it. Okay, now we basically have all of the stuff constructed out. I am going to detail that airship, but what we're going to do first is I'm going to start pushing the buildings back, because right now it is just ocular clutter. And I'm actually going to grab this lasso tool, because I want to make a quick lassoing of those really far back buildings. and we're gonna do a new layer, and we're gonna mask that off. So what we want to do here, I'm actually gonna lighten up the sky a little, and for this we need our trusty very blurry brush to do this. Now I'm gonna take the airship out for a second. So I actually want to hit like down here. We're gonna make this our sky. Why is that? Oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't grab all the sky as my mask either. Okay. So my pen tooling is excellent. My lassoing, eh. So we are gonna take a very, very blurry brush, and we're gonna basically go in and we're gonna put this is basically atmosphere as best I could do it with actually, can we just snap? No, that doesn't work. Okay, atmosphere as best I can do it with black and white. God damn it. So, the next thing we're going to do is actually, I'm going to reselect that, hit Control J. I want to blur that out pretty severely. So we go to our Gaussian blur, and I want this way in the back. I want it to barely be readable as buildings. So this is where we're going to get a little experimental with our background, because like I mentioned before, we want to push the background back is our goal here. But we don't want to like ruin everything by doing that. But we are gonna put everything, just really give it the once over, like especially this dome I think should get hit by this a lot. We are just gonna push everything back. It actually looks like the sun's coming from behind that building, so we have to go back just a little bit here. I want to make sure I actually hit this building correctly, because this side is really dark. Yeah, we gotta... Damn it. We got a line from that building, I think, on there. Yeah, wait, what am I doing? This should be up here. There we go. Okay, redo. It's like a smoggy day in China, wherever he is. Incidentally, his character's really dark, so this'll hopefully not be too jarring a difference between his character and the background, but we'll still get like, obviously I'm gonna tweak his lighting a bit, but we'll still get like he's in this place. The other thing is buildings. Why is that a dark line there? We have to go way in on this. It just looks a little too crisp. This line right here. So you know what we're gonna do? think it's... Okay, that's why. Let's put this up here. And then... I am actually going to... Blur, Gaussian blur, the mask. See if that helps at all. Not really. Well, not really. So, yeah, the mask is actually creating a very dark area around the, so actually let's just try this. Oh yeah, that helps. It's creating a very dark area around that, that building that's supposed to be more forward. Now I am actually going to do attempt 3 because of that. This is how it goes. This is how it goes sometimes. You just gotta sort of grit your teeth and try and retry and retry, just so things work out. Yep, I think there's a little fleck right there that is probably part of that tree. Yep. And now this is actually like a better edge, but we are gonna tone that. We're gonna be probably sitting here playing with this for a while as well. Because, like I mentioned, the next part is filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Now we definitely don't want this to be as blurred as that previous background. We still want to sort of obscure it like we did with that. Now, the one thing I really don't like here is I actually don't like the edge of this building, and I'm probably going to come back to that later. Because it's like everything is like, we have these shapes in here, and then it's just we have all these shapes with the trees and stuff. But I think I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. Now my fences are part of that, and then right there. So we drag that down, merge that. So fences, same deal. We're gonna make a new layer. Now this tree is obviously in our background, so we're gonna push that back as well. Now the only problem I have here is everything looks like it's goddamn glowing. You gotta be kind of careful about that. Also, I think that building's a little crooked. Does it look a little crooked? Because it looks a little crooked to me. And you know what? I said I wanted to avoid tangents, and I threw one in there just accidentally. So, what we're going to do, we're actually going to trash all that. Oh, man. Yeah, the hard edge of that building is really bugging me now. Well, actually, wait. Okay, I think it's not going to be as big a bother now. I forgot, I have an airship to put in there. So we can zoom this airship like right here. We can make it bigger, and I think I am going to make it much, much bigger because I want to hide that building. But the building should be fine. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna take and we're gonna go with a neutral gray over this instead of the brighter gray. Yeah, that's working better. Just to sort of give this a neutraling down back here. I'm going to grab the white though and just tap that a bit. But for the most part, we do want this neutraled out. Like, we still have our detail, but we're getting this flattened down in the background a little bit. And actually, I want to take the neutral gray we have, and actually I'm gonna just tap this down just a little bit. Not to darken it up, but just so it doesn't, like, I'm obviously gonna play with this a little bit here. Okay, I do want like distinct layering to happen though. This is probably gonna be another hour-long video. So, our final bit here, again, grabbing a neutral gray, the very blurry brush. It's obviously not going to be, should be more like that. It's not going to be as gray as this is, but yeah, still pretty gray. So we're going to copy that and turn the background off just so we have a copy of it. Take this tree, blur Gaussian, blur the tree. This tree back here, we want it just a little blurred, not so blurred that it's a distraction. And that incidentally also blurs out our fence. Finally, we go with this tree, copy it, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And again, we want the tree blurred out so it pushes into the background. Finally, one more layer. Neutral. And 5, 3, 1. I think we'll just do that 10% gray on the background just so everything evens out a little bit. Finally, we have our airship to put in here. Airship, I'm going to slip underneath that layer. But first, we're going to give it our full attention detail-wise. Well, not as detail-wise as our character, but we are going to give it a lot of attention. I actually have no idea how long this video is going to be because it's in like 4 parts on my computer. Because every time I went to look something up, I stopped it and started it. Just so I wouldn't have like a giant file just sitting there. It by and large works. Oops. Oh, I accidentally put the layer at 50%. I'm an idiot. I was accidentally working on my, I shouldn't say accidentally put that layer at 50%. I forgot to just do a new layer on top of it. So yeah, I don't know how long this video is going to be. And that's also another thing I wanted to ask about. Video length. Because I'm totally fine with people having like 1-hour videos up. And even if they aren't that interesting, I'll probably still watch them. I mean, I've watched a lot of Markiplier stuff, even when he's uninteresting. Now the thing about the airship is I'm still I'm still gonna keep the rules I had for the buildings, where it's like, yeah, I want detail on it, but I don't. Or I mean the trees. I want detail on it, but I don't want so much detail that it becomes a distraction. So like really, if I were doing this as a sketch for this actual vehicle, I'd probably want to go into the textures of everything. Like what really is metal, what's the pustule bits, and what's the like what looks like, you know, skin texture and whatnot, and goopy stuff, and you know, what do the air bladders look like. And so on and so forth. I am kind of thinking of the oh, what's it called now? Not the Simic Sky Swallower. The other one. The Zephlid. It's like the Zephlid mixed with like the design for the Rocinante for the new Expanse show that's coming out. Wait, I could probably just turn that off. Well, no. Yeah, the hard part with it is I can't use the background to cover up some of the line work. I mean, take that, like, take the flat gray that I was doing with him. Like, I was actually using the flat gray to cover up some of the rougher edges. So with this, it's like, I can't really do that. I need to get rid of that, because it should be lighter down there. That's where the light would get to it. Then we can come in here and put some darks back in there. Let's just merge that down. Filter. Well, first off, let me grab that neutral gray out, and I'll do what I did before. Just to sort of tamp it down a bit. Oh, and he's actually got to go underneath this tree. That's right. And I believe that would be our background for now. So, last things last. We're gonna hit this with some curves. One of the things I was told very early was you should make your artwork look like crap on the screen, because then it'll look great in print. But I don't necessarily want to completely do that. I just want to do a little, like, punch up do a little punch up with curves. Oh, I said I wanted to do one last thing, and that was so this is going to be kind of tricky to do. Yeah, because his edges... Well, no, I want his... Well, no. What I need to do is... I'm going to need a copy of his arm and this tentacle. Then we put the layer mask on that, and then we flip the layer mask, hit apply layer mask, put it up here, turn the curves off for a second. Now what I want to do is actually take... This is going to be very rough what I'm doing here. And we're going to go like that. Layer via cut. Filter. Blur. Gaussian blur. Oh geez, I have some of the background tentacle on there. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Pulled this guy forward. Mask it. I can actually use a blurry brush on this mask. It's amazing. It's fantastic. So that tentacle is now coming at us a bit more. And I said I wanted to hit his arm just a little bit, because not like that, but maybe like just a tiny bit, to do a pseudo, to have that just pop forward just a little bit. And then actually this is all part of me like noticing little things that should, because I have this this faux fakey camera blur trick going on. We actually do want to hit this one up as well. Oh wait, we have to put it above that, not in that. Put it above that. I apply the layer mask. Okay. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Because that tentacle is actually way in the background. So we have that blurred out. Now, actually, we're going to be doing this trick one more time, because I want to grab this one as well. But this one, because this is that tentacle going back behind him. So we're going to apply the layer mask, and then filter, blur, Gaussian blur. We're going to blur that, but we're going to mask it again. Grab our brush, and we're going to... Now it's slowly getting blurred as it goes away. Finally, I said the one last thing I wanted to do. I only need like... Because I'm going to basically do that again. But I want to just very... This is going to be a very... This is the experimental part. This is a very janky thing I'm trying to do here. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. We don't need it that bad. I only want just a little bit on this one. Just a little bit to make it noticeable. And we're gonna hit that with a mask. I just want that pushed a little bit. Like, just have that a little blurred out. Specifically his hand, but like his arm and definitely this should be in focus. So we have. Here, wait. That should be. Should that be darker? Should that be more? Yeah, we'll just give that a little bit of a touch up, just to make sure its reading is being brought forward. Brought forward, brung. Did I just say brung? And I believe that just about covers this piece of art. Put the Wacom pen. No, wait. So, in this video, we covered basically everything from starting with a sketch and going pretty much to what I would consider a complete grayscale drawing. And we had fun with it. And it's mostly, like, I did it mostly for podcasting as well. So we talked about a lot. It's been quite the journey. And I'm sure we've all learned something. Whether it's about ourselves, about artwork, about Biopunk, magic cards. So I hope everyone enjoyed this video. And these videos, I should say. And thanks for watching, everyone. Give me suggestions as to what I should be doing next. What I could be doing to improve this. What I could be doing to improve the gaming side of the gaming channel. And just leave a comment. Subscribe. Or a like. Or a dislike. Likes and dislikes are the same thing on YouTube. But anyways, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, I forgot to say, I will have a link in the description below for this piece of artwork. And actually, if anyone would want prints of anything I do, tell me, and I will set something up at like Redbubble or something. I will also have a Patreon up kind of soon if anyone wants to support me there. So, thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. Again.